As the Baltimore Ravens maneuvered through the early parts of free agency, first-year general manager Eric DeCosta avoided doling out bloated contracts to homegrown players with his eyes on the future. It's not that DeCosta is giving up on the 2019 season. It's that he wants to ensure any decisions he makes won't clog up the team's salary cap over the next few years and rob him of financial flexibility. One of the things that we want to do is put ourselves in a really good salary cap situation now and also moving forward, DeCosta said at an introductory news conference in January. That's the goal. That's the challenge. I think we can get there. Those forward-focusing comments beg the question, after an initial wave of movement this offseason, how is the Ravens' 2020 salary cap situation shaping up? The answer: pretty well. It's difficult to tell how much salary cap room Baltimore will have to work with 12 months from now because a variety of yet-to-be-determined factors will influence their standing. We don't even know what the NFL salary cap number will be in 2020. But several indicators for the Ravens are positive. OverTheCap.com projects the Ravens, as their roster currently stands, to have about $97 million in cap space to start next offseason, the fourth most in the NFL. That number doesn't take into account the incoming rookies from this year's draft class or future signings. So the $97 million figure is inflated. What's important is that Over the Cap views Baltimore's 2020 financial outlook as the fourth brightest in the league, or, in other words, only 3 teams have less 2020 cap space already tied up in players. That'll give the Ravens more options and leeway to pounce on free agent targets as they continue to build a team around quarterback Lamar Jackson. Another encouraging sign for Baltimore is that it can shed a handful of bulky contracts after this year. In 2019, the Ravens carry 4 players on the roster with cap numbers larger than $10 million and absorbed $16 million in dead cap by trading quarterback Joe Flacco to the Broncos. Flacco's contract will be off the books in 2020 and Jackson's on a cheap rookie deal. So, in essence, the Ravens will save about $15 million at the QB spot next year. And in total, just 3 Ravens players, safeties Earl Thomas and Tony Jefferson and defensive tackle Brandon Williams, are in line to count more than $8 million against the cap in 2020. Cornerback Jimmy Smith $15.9 million, and right guard Marshall Yanda $10.1 million eat up large chunks of cap space this season, but their contracts will expire before the end of next year. This all means the Ravens will have room to acquire free agents next offseason and the ability to lock down young players with long-term deals. It also means the Ravens will need to replace established veterans and find wise ways to fill out a roster that might lack stability. Such is the give and take of the NFL. It's tough to keep a roster stocked with good players while maintaining adequate wiggle room under the salary cap. DeCosta is trying to strike the balance, and so far, his work hasn't been too shabby, Aaron Kaz reports.